Good afternoon. It's good to see you all here this afternoon, and we'll begin the meeting. And we are at 1:30 exactly on my watch. So the first thing we will do is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting on March the 20th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as we've received via email? We have Nancy made the motion to approve the minutes. Jerry seconds the motion. Any discussion? Discussion? Okay. Those in favor of approval of the minutes? Aye. 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 We're unanimous on the minutes. Okay, let me turn the microphone over to Rita, and she will tell us about the financials.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. So for the month of March, nothing really out of the ordinary. Our total revenue for the month was $524,371, which is roughly $7,500 better than budget. Our year-to-date income is $1,567,186. I did get an email asking the question of what items are considered in the other income line, and I thought that was a good question. So that's things that usually work order generated for cleaning condos, laundry, maintenance-related items, TV, phone, and the washer and dryer income from each floor. On the expense side, we had 3 payrolls in March, which we budgeted accordingly for. Our total expenses for the month was $483,363, which is about $16,000 under budget. Our total year-to-date is $1,265,217. Our net income for the year to date is $301,969, which gives us a favorability of about $75,000. In March, our total reserves is up to $2,322,327. Our total operating cash is $511,645 for a total of $2,833,972. I would ask the board to allow me to go ahead and sweep $50,000 above the normal $20,000 for the month of April into reserves. The interest income right now is incredible. Last month our interest income was around $13,000, and this month it's almost $14,000.
Do we have a motion to move an extra 50,000 to reserves?
No.
An extra.
Yeah, 20 goes automatically every
20 is
month.
automatic.
I'm suggesting we go ahead and move another 50.
We've been.
That's my, 70 total then?
70 total for April.
Be a 70 total. Do we have a motion to do that? Jerry makes a motion to move that. Do we have a second? Second, Nancy. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Unanimous. Let's move an additional 50,000 for a total of 70,000 to total reserves. What this does for us is it improves the investment amount we receive on it. The interest rate goes up substantially on that money, so we get more interest income. Go ahead, Rita.
Yes. Also in March, we did have one CD mature, and so that rolled over into the money market. We have one more mature this month and one next month, and we will have all money market. Meal count for the month was $5,951. 51 meals for a total meal cost of $19.33 per meal.
Wait, where are you? Oh, never mind.
Yes. Nothing really significant to say about dining on my end, except we had a new menu come out last week. Seems to be very popular.
Is there a reason for the drop of $3.50 in the meals?
It's just, I mean, it's by the, I take the labor and the food cost and divide it by the number of meals. We had roughly, 100 more meals or so over February. Just a I think we're about $10,000 under budget in dining for labor, and our food costs, I think, was about $4,000 under budget.
Meal costs will drop substantially with increased number of meals because the overhead of labor is the only thing that increases the food cost. So
Yeah, but Scott, the meals went up 130 or so.
Right.
That's not going to.
oh no, it's not going
drop at 350.
no, it's not going to drop it that much, but it's going to affect it a little bit to a degree.
Yeah, the better we manage the food cost and the labor, the better the number's going to be. That's what's driving it.
Yeah, their monthly food cost was down $3,000 from where budget. So let's see, labor.
Right, yeah, it was $3,500 under budget on food cost. And total employee cost was $8,100 under budget, so. Sales and leasing, by my records, we have 1 unit for sale and 2 units for lease. And Jerry can add anything to that if he's got something other than what I have.
No.
All righty, Scott, I'll let you have the architect and decor.
Questions?
If we go back to the revenue for a second, where does the leasing for the telecommunications equipment show up on revenue?
It won't show up yet because the check hasn't come in. We get 1 check a year. It comes in April, so next month you'll see a new line item for the antenna.
And that's 20,000 we get once
It's
a year?
A little over $21,000 we get once a year.
And do I remember correctly when we went on the tour up there, you said that you had some information that maybe it's worth 100,000 or so?
Yes, but we have been in talks with T-Mobile the last couple years and even hired a consultant that deals with that, went over the contract. Unfortunately, a very long contract was signed many years ago, so we're kind of stuck in the contract, except they currently want to bring 5G up there, and we are not letting them on the roof to bring 5G unless they want to reintroduce some more money that it's going to be worth and redo the contract. They're not willing to do that. They're trying to work around it, so they've been trying a little over a year now.
I got a letter sent to my home address from somebody in Florida that wants to buy.
Right. We get those I guess over the last 11 years I've been here.
Are we all getting those?
I get them pretty frequently, and I know that before I've did the math, and you get a lot of cash up front, but if you do the math, it actually lessens.
It's horrible. I talked to the guy.
It's even less than the 21,000 we're getting.
Yeah, well, but you're right, you get all the money up front. But he had some interesting thoughts about getting locked in that way too. So when we talked about consulting help and all that, maybe there's some outside firms that could give us some advice too. Who's this that you've been working with? Not by name, but what kind of consultant?
He used to be an attorney for cell towers, and that was his background, and then he opened a firm that does consultant and negotiating for cell towers.
And when does the current contract expire?
I have to look, but it's like 2030 something. It was
Wow.
It was almost a 40-year contract that was signed.
Is there an escalator in it? Does the amount go up every year? or
No.
not?
Yes. And when I said I thought it was worth 100,000, that's what I believe based off of some other areas that I've looked at that have the antennas on their buildings, and they're not even as tall as we are in a populated area.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's chicken feet.
Well, that contract goes back probably 20 years at this point in time.
And it goes.
It's that old. It goes way back.
So it's a 25-year contract?
No, it was almost 40 years, I believe. It was signed in the,
Yeah, we'd have to get the paper out, but it's an old contract, and $20,000 seemed like a lot of money at that point in time, so. Now we're, no escalators, just flat fixed.
Boy, all kinds of old Army phrases are coming to mind.
Yeah. At any rate, like Rita said, we need to redo that and get some more money from them if we can. All right. Let's talk about architecture. As many of you know, I'm sure you've seen the arch going over the driveway up to the upper parking deck, and soon there will be a sign on that that says a weight limit sign of 5,000 pounds. The lighting on the upper deck has been changed and modified. Now we have LED lights up there, and they're nice and bright, and all of them work. As you know, the dining room's been repainted over the weekend of the 13th and 14th of this month, and that's looking good and bright. The beauty parlor is still kind of on hold is what we're doing there, because Rick is just way too busy with other things, and we haven't contracted that out. As far as the PCC shower goes up there, we are in the process of getting bids for the tile work. The plumbing work is done, and we need to get the tile work started. What else we got here? Okay, for floors 3 and 6, there are several different committees that are working on that. Each floor has its own committee, and they're working with the architectural committee and working with Rita to come up with solutions, and I think we're getting close on that. We expect that to be completed this month. The chases, as you know, have had that louver style put up to replace the grill that was previously on the chase. I hope you've all had a chance to see that. The one that's up there is actually larger than what it'll be when we do the modification. So it won't be quite as big, but it'll be still that basic style. We're in the process of putting together some analysis on the temperature, humidity inside the chases, and that'll bring us to the ability to then go out and try to get some revised quotes on what we're going to do, and I think that'll be done here shortly too. Regarding the traffic light that I know we're all very eager about, Rita and I had a meeting with the mayor of Sandy Springs and his city manager, and they are aware of our concerns, and I think that they are interested in our concerns. He made a commitment to us to do an additional study of the traffic situation out here. He did not put a time frame on it, but he did say it would probably be after much of this work is completed to where there's a reasonable amount of traffic flow so they can measure it. Because as you know now, the traffic just stays parked out there most of the day. It doesn't move very much, very fast. So they are interested, and we're following up, continue to follow up with them. The Comprehensive Financial Reserve team has met and is been assembled and is working on that project to build a financial reserve study. So that's that completes the Architectural Decor Committee report.
Scott,
Yes.
the city really butchered one of the big trees out here.
We talked to those trees we were originally told would be removed. There's 2 magnolias out here that are terribly butchered. We were told they would be removed. We showed up one day and they were butchered the way you see them. We talked to the mayor and the city manager about those 2 trees also, and they were sending the city arborist out to evaluate. And that's the last I heard. Rita, have you got an update from there?
Yep, the arborist has been out, and now they're waiting on an official letter from that young lady saying what needs to be done. It will probably still be removed, and in 3 years, they plan to plant new magnolias, but their word was the contractor made an error.
I only saw one that had been butchered. Did you say there were two?
Side by side.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
maybe that's why it looks so bad. I thought it would, okay. And Scott, also on the deterrent to going up on the second floor, what are we going to do when people violate that? Because they will. And I don't mean residents, but vendors and whatnot are going to, if they're under 8 feet, they're going to go on up. So what do we do then? What's the plan?
We haven't set a plan for that at this point in time, nor have we set a mode to police that operation.
You say we have not?
We have not set a mode to police it, right? That's a good point, and we need to further discuss that.
Yeah, because parking for some of the vendors, whatnot, is difficult, and if that's their only option, they're going to take it, and if there's no consequence for that, we just will tear down the restrictor.
Well, we'll keep at least the big ones off. You know.
However, we do need to remove the roll-offs that's in the contractor's manual that says they go on the upper deck. That needs to be removed, and another place set.
We're going to do that later in the meeting today.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, let's go then to nominating, marketing, communications. Nancy, Trish?
First, nominating, the committee meets monthly, and we've identified points to clarify the nomination and election process for future nominating committee members, for candidates and owners, and we are on schedule to have materials available for board review in June. The next, social activity committee. This is the things that Tricia and I do in conjunction with what Rita and Brianna do. We meet quarterly with them to go over, explore opportunities, and coordinate plans. The travel group, as you know, has scheduled multi-night trips starting in September and other destinations into 2025. The next meeting is Monday, May 6th. If you're interested in learning more, contact Peggy Garnier. The Welcome Committee continues to host new resident tables on Monday at lunch and dinner when reservations are made. Sign-up is by the mail room. The High-Rise Living Service is open to all residents. In fact, it's mostly existing or long-time residents who come each Monday after lunch on the sun porch. Next Monday at 2 p.m. because of carpet cleaning. It's going to be Know Your Neighborhood with a speaker from the Sandy Springs Tourism Office, and area paper maps will be available for people who want a paper map. May 20th, we're having another volunteer interest sign-up group. And we had more than 30 people update their information with the Fulton County Election and Voter Registration Office. And we'll probably do another one of those before the main election in November. A new interest group starts tomorrow on Thursdays in the Azalea Room for those who enjoy knitting, needlepoint, and crochet. We've got some things planned for Older Americans Month in May. Rita will tell you more about, we'll be honoring military veterans and current service members. We're expanding the 2023 display, and we're planning a Decades of Trivia event on May 14th on the Sun Porch. So be thinking about who you want to sign up with as a team, or you can just come and we'll create teams for that. There's a lot coming up in May. I'll just run through them. The Kentucky Derby Party, Paint and Sip, Mother's Day Tea, Mother's Day Brunch, Memorial Day Brunch. There's a let's see, I think there's not going to be a sing-along until June, is that right? And then there's a bunch of other activities. So you may go ahead and do that. Okay.
Is that all we got to do? I mean, is that all?
And if there's something that
Is
you
there something
feel
else
like
we
is
can't do?
missing, let us know. We're starting different groups. I'll just go zoom through marketing communications now. We are working on updating the website. We've reviewed templates, and Tricia has drafted an updated content for the main site, and there'll be a separate site that also promotes PCC. These updated sites are easier to use on cell phones as well as different platforms. So no matter what you're using, you'll be able to get information. The resident portal will not change, so you don't have to learn to do anything new for that. We are looking at groups that can meet here or that we can work with. Tricia's been doing some outreach on Facebook that's generated some people coming in. So that's good. We're looking at a photographer that was scheduled for this Saturday is going to be the following week. He had an emergency, he had to change. Want to emphasize that each resident is a word-of-mouth marketer for those considering MVT. Almost no one is going to move in here without contacting somebody who lives here. So we just want to be sure that everybody knows what's going on and have questions. We're going to be taking a survey within the next 2 weeks, asking for people's input on the things you like and the things you're concerned so that we can measure where we are. We are moving forward with our comprehensive marketing plan that is adjusted monthly with new action points as we review and implement new opportunities. We're continuing to work with staff to streamline Towers Talk and make it more relevant for readers. You can read it on the main website if you're from outside the community, and you get one on your door if you live here. Rita has a regular admin column in Towers Talk, and she's also reviving more regular communications with family members and other outside owners. As part of the board outreach starting next week, board teams are accepting invitations to meet with each floor for Q&A, and if you'd like to schedule someone, let me know.
Thank you. Any questions? Any additional questions, comments from the board?
Back to the cell tower.
Okay.
I pulled up the document. So it looks like the expiration date is March 31st, 2037. And for some reason in 2012, there was an agreement to reduce the amount of annual payments that we were getting by 32%. So.
When did it start?
It originally started March 31st, 1997, and then there was several amendments, but this was the last amendment that extended it to 2037 with a 32% rent reduction.
Okay, Jerry, you want to say something here?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody, all the residents who have been putting in the comment cards in the dining room. Thanks to you guys that have been very helpful in the dining room getting a lot better. You see the staff has improved considerably. We still got little bugs in the kitchen, but everything's going forward and it's all looking good, and it's really because of you guys. On those comment cards, though, if you could, besides just complaints, if you could put on the back of those cards, many people don't check off the good things that the staff or your food is giving. So all these comment cards go to Claudia at Morrison's Living, so it's helpful for everybody, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, there has been substantial improvement in the kitchen and in the food, so that's good. All right. Any other business, the board? I'll bring up new business. Go ahead.
I had heard that we have more people in the PCC. Can you give us an update on that?
Yes, in the past, I would say 2.5, 3 weeks, we increased our occupancy by 5 more residents, but we lost 1 last night. So I guess it's safe to say we've increased 4 residents since the last board meeting. It does not reflect on these financials because it was in April.
But a net increase of 4 then. Mm-hmm. What did we do to get those 4 people? Where did they come from?
Well, we had a total of 8 interviews for people that was interested, but 3 of them came just from the towers, family members, and 1 came from social media.
1 came from rehab.
Yeah, that's social media, though, where Tricia is a group, I think it's SOAR. So that's the thing with the personal care center is you kind of never really know if, usually the last quarter of the month, the first quarter of the month is usually pretty slow unless there is absolutely a need for respite care, someone coming out of the hospital or coming from rehab.
I don't know if you can answer this, but are these longer term or relatively short term stays?
Longer term. We have one of the 4 is respite, and they're from the outside. They do not live here. The other 3 is planning to be longer term.
Okay.
So how many beds do we have filled right now? Total?
We have 6 rooms vacant.
Getting up there.
Okay. Other comments on that? As Rita mentioned earlier, we need to modify the contractor's manual to remove comments about putting dumpsters on the upper deck. And so I'd make a motion that we change the contractor's manual to remove the wording that instructs contractors to place their dumpsters on the upper deck, and that the dumpsters should be limited to a 10-yard dumpster that is placed back by the white building. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dan. Any discussion?
When you say back by the white building, which are you meaning in the gravel or?
I think that's up to Rick and crew at this point in time. We're out in that whole area. Where's the best place to put it?
Right.
I don't want to nail it down to where it's too tight. I want him to have some flexibility.
Scott, is the 10, what's the units again?
10 cubic yards.
Is that one of the shorties that we used to have up there? Or
Those are the short ones, yeah.
Okay. And when we tried to do this several months ago, there was objections about contractors taking their carts of debris through the courtyard. Are we restricting in any way how they get from job to dumpster?
We have not done that in this motion, no. And that's a good point, Dan. We need to get the wording on that and get that in probably next meeting. We'll do something on that. Absolutely. Any?
Can we make a motion now? Do you have enough background information? I mean, do you know how you want it worded so that you can make?
I have the previous motion that I put forth on that at that point in time. I didn't bring it today, but
Okay.
we can. It's easy to modify that to bring it up to date. So we can do that to keep them out of the front lobby. Basically, they have to go through the courtyard.
Okay.
We want that material going through the courtyard. And then when you think about it, it doesn't have to go back that way either, because the other thing they can do is to bring it down the elevator, put it in their pickup truck, and drive it around. Or once they got it in their pickup truck, they can take it to a dumpster that's off-site somewhere.
I've seen a couple of people doing that already, just taking it in their trucks.
Yeah, Right.
I would suggest in your motion that you modify it to areas they cannot go. If that's the lobby only, then anything else, go any place you want except on the second deck of the parking garage and in the lobby. Otherwise, have at it.
Yeah. But I think at this point in time, we just need to get this started, and we'll clean it up. Good points. Good points. All right. Any further discussion? No? All in favor of this? Aye. Unanimous? Okay. Is there any other new business from the board? Any new business from the board? All right, I'd like to open up questions to the residents and owners that are here. And as before, if you have a question, will you please state your name and tell us if you are a renter, an owner resident, or an outside owner who does not live here. So please go ahead.
I'm Peggy Garnier, and I'm an owner resident. What is the administrative income on the income statement?
Rita.
So the administrative income line, every one of our departments has general ledger items that fall under the administrative income, but the majority of that is covering things like bank charges, camera expense, dues and subscriptions, insurance, business insurance, officers and directors insurance, license taxes, fees, marketing, memberships, postage, copier rental, copier supplies, toner, professional fees accounting, professional fees legal, rental expense copier, small equipment and furniture, telephone/computer supplies, artwork supplies, regular supplies, office supplies, software, travel expense, which we never have, those type of items.
I think she asked for income.
Oh, I'm sorry, income.
Asking about income.
I want some of that action if that counts as income.
Sorry. Administrative income covers the condominium fees, miscellaneous income, late fees / NSF charges, interest income. It also covers the meal allowance every month.
Interest income is another line item.
Right, but it's all up above the administrative income, though. The total administrative income for the month was $456,000.
I think what she's talking about is this line here.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the $47,596.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Okay.
the line she's talking about.
This is broken out. On my report, it actually has all of these items listed under administrative income. Somewhere along the way, somebody wanted to see the HOA income separated. So in this, the administrative income is miscellaneous income, other fees, late fees, NSF charges, transportation service income, the meal allowance income.
So the HOA income does not include the meal allowance.
Correct. And here you're seeing the meal allowance in that administrative income, which makes up the biggest majority of that because it is $44,391 a month.
It would.
Any other questions? No questions? Right here.
I gotta ask, I know it's not fun to talk about.
Tell us your name, Jim.
Jim Russ, owner, resident, in Parker.
Okay.
Anyway, I know it's not fun to talk about the cell tower, but 32% reduction in income, was that from the board or built into the contract, or do you know?
The best I can tell, because none of us were here, so I don't know if the board was involved. The best I can tell, it just has the director's signature on there.
That income is offset, really offsets assessments, basically. And do you have my estimate, we're in the millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't sound fiduciary responsible.
Excellent point, Jim.
Unfortunately, that's water under the bridge. We need to look at the next bridge and try to get this corrected and get them to
No,
repair the
cannot get
structure
out of
up
it.
there too. So, any other questions, comments?
What happens if they told them to take the tower down?
No, no.
We're in a contract where they,
What would they get from us? 20,000 the other way?
I'd have to go back and look at the,
Scott, I'd
Yeah, go
like
ahead.
to call for another executive session meeting to talk about issues like Jim brought up and the lady about if we don't know what our businesses are, that's a problem, and where that money goes and what it's to be used for. For example, last month, Scott used the phrase that it's frosting. I think we deserve to know where that money's being spent. What is the frosting that we're getting? And where does it go? Because Jim makes a very valid point that if whatever we're doing with that frosting dollar, that's less money we have to on the assessments.
But it sounds to me like you're suggesting that we probably have Scott come in and tell us every line item here and go through the whole, what do you got here, 300 line items or
Scott-
something like that?
No, I'm not.
You want to, and find out all the details of every item? That's what it sounds like.
Well, then let me
that
be
wouldn't be
clear.
for Scott to come in.
Because that would be just, that'd be hours and hours and hours worth of discussion.
How about if we simplify it just to talk about the businesses that Mount Vernon Towers runs? That's not hours and hours. I defy this board and the audience to define and delineate what businesses we're in.
Well, I think that in order to do that, you would need to identify the businesses as you are referring to them as, and ask them to for us to get together with the accounting side of our people and come up with answers to questions that we don't know the questions for.
I think that's the purpose of the executive committee meeting, but the lady that asked the question about what is in the administrative revenue, I think demonstrates that she doesn't, and I will stand with her, I don't know all the sources of income and what we're doing to maximize those sources of income. Because every dollar we bring in from anything other than dues, every dollar we bring in either lowers the assessment or lowers the dues.
Okay, so
It gets spent someplace. So
Okay.
I would like to know what businesses we're in, who's managing them, and what are we doing to market them, and what are we doing to maximize the amount of money we're getting from them.
Okay, so that's the first question, is what's in administrative income?
Well, the audience, they're
That's
getting.
You need a defined question before you can come up with an answer like that.
The audience is getting a very condensed version of the financials, or
Yeah.
else they would get
Right.
20 more pages. But in the board packet, it actually breaks each line item down for each department, so you can see what is under administrative income, dining services income. So if you look at the back of your packet, it breaks it down by each department. every line item in the general ledger.
That's additional information that the board may have, but the owners don't. So I think my request is pretty simple. I'd like the board to get together and review the sources of income that we have, who's responsible for them. For example, who's responsible for the PCC? The control and the marketing of the PCC, our biggest revenue source. Who's in charge of that?
We are. Right here.
No, because if you're pointing to me too, I don't know what if I'm in charge of it, then I want some authority to do something with it, and I don't have any. And I'm on the board.
Well, and that's what we have, the different subdivisions of responsibility to work on those individual items. So we're putting that together, but administrative income, as we talked about before, is like Rita said, is here. So it really sounds like you want to sit down and have somebody explain the whole financial structure of Mount Vernon Towers, and if that's the case, it'd be nice to have specific questions to address.
I'll try one more time, Scott. My specific question is, what businesses are we in? Who's in charge of each individual business? And what are they doing to market that business to bring in as much money as possible? That's a straightforward, simple question.
We have a marketing plan for,
It's not on.
I'll turn it on. Hello, can you hear me now?
There's two buttons on the side there. Push that one up, yeah.
That's up. Oh, it's all green.
Put it closer to your mouth.
Okay, now? Okay. There is a marketing plan that includes PCC and what we do to make it more visible. I've just learned yesterday, and I've modified things some, that we are, as an organization, limited in how we can promote individual units in terms of the condos. That's not something we can do. We can promote the entire building and activities. We have objectives that are with measurable numbers in the marketing plan. We have action points that we've been adding to each month that go through probably June now. It's a whole range of things, marketing. A lot of it has to do, as I said, that we have 300 word-of-mouth people, and nobody comes in here really without talking to somebody that's here. So we want to make sure that the people who live here are satisfied with things. We're looking at everything from cleaning the buses to welcome signs, to signs outside the building, to interacting with groups in North Fulton. I mean, there's a lot that's going on, but we had to establish where we were to get a baseline for that before starting. We've never had, as far as I know, people on the board who have marketing communications backgrounds, and now we have 2, and we're trying to take advantage of that.
Maybe we have more than 2, but I will dispute that we don't have people that walk in without having contacted somebody here before. I've been in the lobby twice where somebody
No, what I'm
walked in
saying
off the
is
street.
they may walk in, but they don't buy. They don't make a decision unless they talk to somebody.
Sure.
The other thing is we have our vacancy rate, our occupancy rate is over 90%. We have about 26 or 28 vacant units. Majority of those are owned by people or families that just pay the fee and do not plan to rent them or do anything with them. And so that makes it seem like we have a lot of vacant, but there are people who they're just happy paying for it, and they're on every floor almost. We currently understand have 3 or 4 that are available to be leased or purchased, and there are a few in the works, because between probate, just general inactivity from families, we can do a lot of things to market and increase traffic, but we're not necessarily going to increase sales by doing that.
I would disagree with a lot of that. And Nancy, our occupancy rate for the condos, as far as the board and income is concerned, is 100%. Because every month we get an HOA fee from a condo, whether somebody lives in it or not.
Right.
That's one point. And that's in trying to represent them. I would like to get that number down if we can, or certainly prevent it from going up, and certainly keeping the upcoming assessment fee that's going to be required for the chase as low as possible.
Janice has something.
Dan, I think what we need to do is to get together with Scott Goins and with Rita, and we will try to come up with something that we can get together and talk about. Because if we're going to go through here line by line, it sounds like, no matter what, and it'll be quite a long session to go through. So, anyway.
That's not what I'm asking for at all.
Okay. Do we have anything?
Yeah, you have a question. Julie
Cool,
Maisel. Okay, owner resident. I would like to know, is in this year or next year's budget, is there still money put aside to renovate 2 more floors?
Yes, we did not specifically set money aside and say that we planned on renovating 2 more floors this year or next year.
Okay, as the marketing team starts their planning for marketing, I would like at least the marketing team to take a look at the number of homeowners that live here versus the investors that are investing here. I think whether they're coming to purchase to rent versus purchase to live here has a great deal and could be issues in the future if we have more investors than homeowners here. I believe that we're going to have a real difficult time as a board, whatever board is there, to make any type of homeowner living here decisions. So I would please ask that you take a look at those 2 issues and even possibly try to change the bylaws to where we have a percentage of investors that can invest here. And I will say, I understand that we have 3 investors on the board currently, so I just want to make sure that the homeowner's voice is heard.
As one of those investors, I don't understand this class distinction where because I don't live here, I can't represent the people that do. And alternatively, somebody like Nancy that does live here that can't represent the investors. As far as changing the bylaws, there's no way that can be done. We cannot tell any owner who they can sell to. But if any of you really are upset with there being any investors here, or as many as they are, you are certainly welcome to write in your will that you don't want your condo sold to anybody other than somebody that guarantees they're going to live here. We don't have that power to specify who anybody. We're all individual owners. There's nobody sitting up here or can sit up here that can tell anybody who they can sell their condo to.
Dan, we
I'm not
can,
at, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Dan, we can change the documents to where it does state that there will be X percent, 5%, 20%, 40%, or no more than. But in order to change the documents, we have to have the vote of all the owners, including the current investors, to agree to that. And I forget the exact percentage that it would take to do that, but it's like 2/3 to be able to change the bylaws to include a statement that says we shall have no more than a certain percentage.
The last time Rita told us, I think it was 35%, 105 condos are investors. Is that still true, or has it changed?
Yeah, between 105, 107. And if it's a bylaw change, then you have to have the majority of the quorum present. If it's a declaration change, you have to have 2/3 of the owners vote.
And this would be a declaration change.
Correct.
Yeah.
Janice, in regards to your, I don't think that we're not I mean, it's kind of hard to market to individuals and people that may be investors. I mean, personally, I don't really want to see anybody come in and be able to buy 10 or 20 units, excuse me, and have that much property here. But we kind of really want to be more in the community and not necessarily, and it's a weird line because you can't tell who can come in here and buy and who can't. But in our efforts, it would be to get the people that live around this area as opposed to somebody in California to come out and buy 20 condos. Does that make any sense?
I understand what you're saying. I just want you to understand that I don't think I'm alone in my statement that as a marketing team, look at every possibility and how it is going to impact Mount Vernon Towers in the future. As a homeowner, I would really be dissatisfied, and yes, if I was dissatisfied, I could move, I understand that. But as a homeowner, that I do love it here, and I do love the people here, as the future comes along, and it's coming quickly, we need to look at what do we want Mount Vernon Towers to look like in 5 to 10 years. Do we want all of it to be investors? I don't think so. And investors, as a homeowner for 40-some years now, when you are renting versus owning in any type of an environment, whether it be condos or what am I trying to say? The subdivisions, there is a difference. A homeowner, yes, I believe, will take better care of their own that they are paying for versus paying someone else as rent and having the investor to worry about it.
Rita, in the past 5 or 10 years, do you even know the numbers of how many investors there were 10 years ago to 5 years ago to now? Do we have any kind of records of that?
I mean, I can go back and look. I've got all the records of the last 11 years.
That's interesting to find out.
And for whatever it's worth, the 6 tenants that I have in my 5 condos, frankly, I think take better care of them than I would myself.
Then I thank you very much for that. I'm only asking that we look forward. And I do understand what Trish is saying. When you're in the marketing, and if you've got degrees in marketing, I applaud you, because we definitely need some advice, whether it be legal, marketing, or whatever, on what we want to look like in 5 to 10 years. And there is ways to market to different age groups, but that would be up to the marketing to tell you, not me.
All right, any other questions? Any other questions? Comments up here? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, excuse me, next board meeting, right, are printed on your sheet, and that will be May 22nd. And mark your calendar for June the 19th and July the 24th. So I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Jerry makes a motion. We have a second. Tricia seconds the motion. Those in favor to adjourn? Aye. Dan? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned at 2:25.